My guest in the Nimataion today is Daniel Foor, and together we're spinning a yarn. Daniel, it's great to have you here. You're an author, teacher, ritualist, animist, doctor of psychology, founder of ancestral healing traditions, and of course, the writer of ancestral medicine. Great book. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. I appreciate the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what has been your favorite childhood story?
Yeah, this question is a fresh, interesting question. So I've been sitting with it a little bit, but it's not exactly from my childhood, although I read a lot of sort of fantasy novels or things like that in my earlier life, which were really helpful. But I think I was 15 years old and I was traveling with my older brother, and I read Imagica by Clive Barker, and it was it was a thick book. It was probably the biggest book I'd read to that point. It's like 1,000 pages or something, but I was absorbed in it in a really impactful way. We're in a long road trip to Alaska, and when I reflect on it, what was meaningful about it, for one, it was a story of one of my own ancestral origin places. It was, basically based in England. And even though my own ancestors are settler colonialists from early on in the US colonies, but seeing the really magical, interdimensional, ritual, amazing kinds of things that reality is made of in the context of deeply like English, British, occult world helped me, I think, unconsciously to recognize that, oh, this is part of my birthright. These things I'm drawn to.
Mm.
This isn't just like a exotic thing or a Native American thing or whatever. This is a human thing. And also Clive Barker being, who and how he is, it was lovely to see as a young person, like other than straight characters for one. So just seeing the sacred, the magical woven in with very not just like homoerotic like scenes and spaces, but also one of the characters is a mystiff in the in the story, which is someone who changes the form of their body to match the desire of who they're with, and so this very sacred and interdimensional, non-binary, if you will, rendering of sexuality and the erotic and identity was also really great. And another thing, two other things I appreciate about the book that have stayed with me and they're still an important part of my journey is the rendering of really hazardous, dangerous forces. And that imprint from early on, from other sources as well, but it just reinforced like spirituality is gritty, it's dangerous, it's edgy. It's not only all about love and light and beauty and peace. Those are great things. Go love. But it's not only, that's not the whole picture. That's all. And so that was helpful to see how closely woven the sublime and danger are. And one other piece was one of the premises of the book is that there are certain periods of time that align, like on the solstice excuse me, every 1,000 years, I think. And so there are people like posted up or waiting in different dimensions for that moment. And the sense is, okay, we're preparing for so many generations for this one moment, for the alignment of the different worlds. In that really long-term view, where you like to see a rendering of humans understanding our place in the larger scope of Earth and time and celestial and natural cycles was also really awesome. And a way of saying that we've already always known these things, even though they've often been lost, that they're still right there and waiting to be reclaimed, and that there are people secretly, sometimes openly, maintaining that awareness and having such intergenerational steadiness and faith about it that when that exact moment is needed, they're present for it. So that kind of like rendering of trust and faith in this like soup of British witchcraft and sex and danger, I'm like, oh, that was good stuff. I like it. So that was, yeah, it was helpful.
It seems a great book to read when you're 15.
Yeah, I thought so. It was very
Yeah.
formative and yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I read Clive Barker when I was, I think, 14, something like that, even 15. Yeah, Books of Blood, of course. And um, I've never read so much written by him, but I remember the impression it made. It was like, whoa, that's a new approach to horror literature. That's very, yeah, like you said, edgy, gritty, and something in me recognized it. It's what you described. There, some authors have the ability to tap into the imaginal and present it to us that we something in us recognizes it as something real.
Yeah, in recent years I just became, because it's the only book I've read a few times. Usually I just read a book once. I'm like, okay, noted. But I read it 3 times, I think. Like once, you know, my 20s, once in my 30s. And after reading it the third time, I went back and was reading some of his reflections on the book. I know he, at least in some interviews, spoke about it as his most like sort of like his magnum opus, or like his the book that was like the most challenging and important and like impactful for him to write, something like that. And uh so sorry, I lost my train of thought a little. The oh, oh yeah, uh
Presenting of the imaginal as real, or
yeah, oh, I got it. Thanks. One of the things he said, and it helped something click in what was impactful about the book, is it partly it was his grappling with Christianity, or specifically with the figure of Jesus, of the like what is I don't want to say redeemable, but what is a way that the magic of that figure and that force can actually reach like Clive Barker's psyche, and something about that landed for me as well, because you know the stories and all the way that Christianity becomes very stale or moralistic or distorted and all those things. But in the book, the main character is very has to grapple a lot with sacrifice and with um, love and integrity and like desire and like big expansive love through these generations and through the worlds. And so that very gritty, like witchy rendering
hmm?
of I guess you'd say Christ-like love, or a complicated, sacrificial, painful love, also runs as a current through the book. And it, I say that now because still a theme for me to not have a strong judgment toward how heavily Christian teachings have shaped my own ancestors, and to not just be like, ah, well, you know, off with your heads to Roman Empire and Christians, and you know, I'm on team pagan and I dismiss all that. Well, yeah,
That's
sure,
very easy to say, isn't it?
sure, it's
Yeah, that's
totally. I
yeah.
mean, and there's something really, you know, you full yes to that, and additionally, there's something deeply beautiful and magical and also quite edgy and embodied
Mm.
about those mysteries. So I feel like Imagica might be my guidebook for Christianity in a weird way.
That would be a great blurb.
Right. just hand out those instead of the pamphlets on the corner. Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Daniel, that's so interesting about how a horror novel has been so impactful on your life and runs like a current, as you said, up until today, I think, with you. That's
If things aren't grounded in the reality of how much horror there actually is in the world, I don't feel like I can trust it completely. It doesn't mean that it has to lead with that
mm,
at all, but I think that whoa, there's a lot of really difficult things in the world is like a starting uh, point of reference from which to have an authentic love and an authentic sense of service that is able to hold all that and not push it away. So that's something yeah, I would double down on that affinity. Even now, I'm like, no, that is my favorite book.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, yeah. And what you just said about the real hardship that is here in the world, that also alludes to fairy tales. Yeah, it is. We have this sense of Hollywood fairy tales and the happy ending, but the basis is very much hardship and horror, and these tales, they convey something to us of how to deal with that, and to trust in the magic.
Yeah, yeah, good. I appreciate in that way your angle or your approach of asking people about the stories that have shaped them.
Hmm.
It's well, it's a valuing of how we're made of stories.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Daniel, it has been such a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm looking forward to talk with you again.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
As always, your infos, your webpage, ancestralmedicine.org, is in the show notes. And yeah, have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye. The world is magic.
Okay.